Welcome back, everybody. And a special welcome to Alex Jamison from AJFinancialPlanning. Great to see you.
Thanks, Greg. Great to be here.
Now, VidCon. What is it?
It's a massive conference. You've got 30,000 people, all diehard YouTube fans. It's basically the who's who if you want to be involved in YouTube or understand it further. It's held in LA. We were interested because there is some dramatic shifts that are taking place with media at the moment, and also just interested in, because they've got a lot of pilots of different types of content, interested in some new investment themes, so really wanting to get some boots on the ground in that space as well.
So what are the different types of content?
Yeah, so you've got a couple of different streams there. They've got the creative stream, they've got industry stream, and then you've got the general public as well. So pretty much all the leading stars from YouTube go, and then all the people, the geeks at the back that are working out how to best optimize their algorithms. And also you've got a lot of futurists as well talking about where they see that segment of the market heading to.
So it's a massive collection of different intellect there.
It's ginormous, yeah. It's overwhelming.
TV versus mobile, where are we at with that?
Yeah, so let's bring up this graph, Greg, and have a bit of a look. So the red line you can see is the mobile usage increasing over time from 2014. And you can see particularly here the TV dropping off. And basically consumers are saying, hey, look, I really want to have some choice around my content, or more choice than what's available, and watch it when I want to watch it rather than when it's scheduled to play. And so we're certainly seeing an interesting crossover. The future outlook as well with this, you can obviously see mobile streaming is expected to continue to power on, and TV is declining. What I'd probably say, though, with a lot of these graphs is most people think it's the demise of TV. I'm not so sure. I think like anything, with whether it's newspapers or whether it's radio, I don't think it's the end of the world. They just have to reinvigorate themselves and work out the future for them, and possibly with a smaller audience base as well.
Now, you remember that cinema was dead once they brought in video.
Everyone's got a kitchen, but they still go out and have dinner out anyway.
That's
so
right.
It's the same thing.
So how many adults are watching online videos on a daily basis?
Yeah, so for YouTube alone, it's about 2 billion viewers are on that platform. So it's a tremendous audience. Wow. I think the biggest thing with the audience, though, is for them, it's a free internet service form of entertainment. And so certainly you're seeing some interesting trends in that space because of it. When we look at YouTube, they kind of break it down into a couple of different main areas. You've got micro viewing that could be anywhere between 30 seconds to a minute. Then you've got the medium-term viewing, which is more around that 10-minute mark, and then longer-term viewing. And so the audience time and their ability to sit down and watch longer-distance sort of shows is certainly with the stats that are coming in are finding that people are happy to sit down and actually watch YouTube for a couple of hours, in fact.
What about subscription video services? So companies like Netflix.
Yeah, the take-up is tremendous. And so you're sort of seeing a big shift from cable moving to Netflix. And then also a lot of people have both. But it's something like the numbers are, 6 out of 10 people. So over half of the, population are taking up those Netflix service. Apparently in Australia, that is also a similar sort of representation as well. And I think as well, just as our internet speed increases, so you don't get the buffering with the freeze, those sort of types of media services will grow in popularity too.
So what about cable TV? That's been it's been the biggest rival to online video services. What's the future there?
Yeah, a lot of the cable companies in the US are in decline. We only have to see the issues that Foxtel is struggling with at the moment here in Australia. The biggest concern with cable TV is it's moving, you mentioned about the cinemas, it's moving to a discretionary form of entertainment. And so you pay your cable fee each month. And if times get tough, say a recession, or you've lost your job, or you're looking for some cash flow savings, you can go onto YouTube, select whatever you want for free, or you can watch cable. And so I guess the biggest hurdles that cable has is just around economic challenges in the future with the general economy. If they run into a recession in future years, they would probably likely see a fairly big drop-off is the expectation in subscribers.
Okay. Now, retail's been impacted by social media influencers. What's the future there?
Yeah, there was a lovely story. So there was an influencer that was actually there, and I think some of the numbers with the influencers, for every retail brand, they have on average about 1 to 2 influencers. So an influencer is someone that's on social media, whether it be YouTube or Instagram, and essentially they might have an audience of a couple of million people. And they sell as well a range of merchandise. Sometimes it's their own, sometimes it might be promoting in other companies and receive revenue for it.
So this is really a lobbyist, isn't it?
It is in some regards, yeah. And a brand ambassador might be an example of probably a word we're probably more familiar with. This lady was quite young, and she was quite excited that she'd actually got her merchandise into one of the big retail chains, so sort of like a Target or a Kmart equivalent. And her comments were that it was very retro to go back to a physical store. So I just sort of took that and felt to myself, well, they're putting it in the same bucket as a record. And so we only sort of have to look at groups like Myer and David Jones and sort of the struggles that they're facing. I only have to walk down the street and see what's happening in Prahran in Chapel Street in the main shopping centre. Retail's definitely got some challenges. Like TV, it kind of has to reinvent itself to an experience.
So how is the landscape changing for them?
Yeah, I think the landscape is tremendous headwinds for them, to be honest. The internet delivery is getting faster and faster, and certainly people are quite happy to purchase large purchases. You know, it's not uncommon to hear an influencer that was speaking there was talking about, someone buying a $70,000 diamond ring from an online transaction. So the transaction amounts are getting larger and larger, and I think as well a lot of the payment gateways and a lot of the protections around consumers, people feel more comfortable rather than just the $2 purchase. They're transacting in quite large numbers.
Okay, China, where's that placed with the streaming market?
1 billion viewers. So, I mentioned YouTube has 2 billion. You've just got one place and you've got them all there. It's certainly a lot more fragmented, so they don't have just YouTube. So there's a number of players there. Tencent, Alibaba, all the usual sort of suspects that we've sort of spoken about with China Tech in the marketplace. Probably the most outstanding and interesting space, though, is there is a micro viewing platform called TikTok. A lot of the young kids here in Australia are getting into it as well, but that's actually a Chinese platform. And so I think an example would be one of the popular videos on there is a security guard doing some funny dances. It might only last for a couple of seconds, but you've got the micro viewing, and that company's due to IPO later this year. So I think those micro viewing sites hasn't really been penetrated in a big way with the Western companies.
YouTube, that's been getting smarter at understanding video viewers. And what they want. Any comments?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple of things we're seeing. So when you're watching YouTube on a regular basis, you might be watching a particular stream of theme. It might be gardening, for example. It will then start to introduce new, different ideas to you. And basically around that is really recognising that you get fatigue on a particular idea. And so it recognises that in the algorithms. And so when you're looking at your YouTube stream, you're going to see those types of things crop up. The other aspect of it as well is just around with the algorithms. They're getting smarter, so they're recognising text, they're recognising visual, they're recognising the video itself and what's being conveyed. So it's not just down to what you type in the message box. And certainly we're seeing as well a lot more text being put on the images with the thumbnails because they're picking up and able to read that actual text content. In general, just becoming really smart. And because it is digitised, unlike TV or some of those other sources, they know exactly what your behaviours are and how to sort of keep you online for as long as possible is probably their theme.
Okay, we only have a minute left. So my final question is really, do any ideas, investment ideas, come from the conference?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned with that TikTok, they're due to IPO later this year. That's going to be done on the Hong Kong market. And I think for us, that's quite a really interesting space. For us as well, just the general themes around streaming in general will be here for a long time. So your Netflix and your Googles and those things, they aren't going away anytime soon in our mind. But certainly really, really exciting space. So it's one to keep a bit of an eye on, Greg.
Thank you, mate. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you. And as ever, all the best with your future investing endeavours. But as we leave, just take in mind, if anyone in the family or a friend says that they want you to be a YouTube star, keep in mind that the top YouTube performers earn between $15 and $22 million. So it mightn't be such a silly idea after all. Bye-bye.